as we talked about during the main show, Dave Rubin went on Tucker Carlson's show and tried to argue that the reason why wildfires are happening in California is because there's diversity at the utility companies that are privatized, like PG&E.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So there were other portions of that conversation that I wanted to share with you. So let's go to this next video where he argues, you know what, the problem is there just aren't enough right-wingers in California.
I hate to tell you, but we just don't have enough clear thinking, say more libertarian or conservative-minded people in California to fight what the progressives are doing to the state. You know what, if I've learned anything by living in California and Los Angeles specifically, it's that no matter what happens, ideology seems to trump rationality.
Yes,
so in the 6 years that I've been here, the amount of homeless encampments have expanded. Virtually every exit you get off the 405 or the 101, there are now homeless people sitting right there, or actually that have basically built structures at the exits. Now it's like if raising taxes on everybody and supposedly the progressive policies that care about poor people, if these things worked, wouldn't the places that progressive policies were enacted, wouldn't there be less homeless? Wouldn't there be less gun violence, all the things that they talk about? But no, there's always more.
Dave Rubin saying ideology seems to trump rationality is rich. It's very, very rich.
By the way, I have an answer for his thing. Scandinavia. They're doing lovely and they have high taxes on the rich and they're actually kicking our butt in every conceivable, measurable way when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to middle class incomes, when it comes to time off, when it comes to quality of life.
Too many high level important ideas. His brain is now in recovery mode again.
Yes.
But like try a little harder, man. Like try a little harder. You're getting paid really well to be a political commentator. Like at least make it so I don't laugh at you and think you're a pathetic human being. And in that same interview, what he actually blamed the wildfire spreading on the fact that there's more diversity. This is coming from the guy who says, you know, the left never shuts up about identity politics and I'm really sick of it. And then every time he talks about politics, it goes right to identity politics. How many times has he said to tweet, you know, as a gay man, I don't care that you're gay. I do not care that you're gay and that is not relevant to the discussion. You're doing the exact same thing that you say you hate.
But because that's why he gets a paycheck. So that he can go on and say, as a gay man, I'd like to blame the LGBT community for those fires. That's literally what he did earlier in the segment. When he talked about diversity hiring, the first group he mentioned was LGBT. Then he mentioned black firefighters. So apparently black firefighters and gay folks who work at PG&E are the ones that started the fires, not climate change, and definitely not the private company of PG&E. But it was gay people and black people. But look, that's why they bring him on, because they need a puppet. They need someone who's gay to blame gay people for fires. And Dave Rubin says, where's my check? My favorite part of that clip we just showed was, if I've learned anything by living in California, well, nope, you didn't. So I don't need to hear the rest of it.
Oh, man.
So this comment isn't about Dave, it's about Tucker. Someone has to have told him at this point. Like someone has to have told him that he needs to stop making that confused look on his face.
I enjoy the face.
So
I know, why does he do that?
What?
He must be surrounded by the same yes men that Trump is, that no one can tell him, Tucker, stop looking befuddled every time there's a guest on.
That is the definition of a dumb face. Like he looks, I mean, just on
Maybe it's on purpose. Maybe it's on purpose. Because like to empathize and connect with his audience. He thinks his audience is filled with idiots, so he's like, watch, I'll try this. He's like, no, not good enough. Hold on, let me try again. No, hold on, I think I almost got it. That's it, nailed it, Tucker. Do that every night, they'll love you. They'll think they're looking at the mirror.
What's really interesting is the demographics of his show. So I have family members, I have conservative extended family members, and I was talking to one of them recently, and it's relatively consistent. This is anecdotal, but the demographics actually back this up. The older generation is not as big of a fan of Tucker, and especially older women are not a big fan of Tucker. He's found a way to kind of transfer a young right-wing audience, and that's who he's gunning for. Yeah. And like the main trick that they use is, again, as they act like they hate identity politics, every conversation somehow comes back to identity politics. And like what I would say to these people is, for the love of God, please, for just a split second, put aside the identity politics conversation. Take a look at economics, take a look at taxes, take a look at trade, take a look at foreign policy, because these are the things that are actually impacting people's lives in like a really, really deep and important way. And if you actually, get out of this bubble just a little bit, even if you just do a little bit of like Wikipedia-ing one night, maybe you'll walk away with some different opinions.
I know, Kyle, but like, here's what you're missing. He's not gonna get paid to do that. You get what I'm saying? Like the way that this whole media ecosystem is set up is the people with the money will pay the hacks because they want to protect their bottom line and their financial interests. So did Dave Rubin really have some sort of awakening, political awakening? Of course not. That's why he can't even defend anything he says.
Yeah, he has an angle. He found an angle and he's exploiting that angle.
And it's worked out really well for him financially. Now he embarrasses himself on television on a regular basis, but if you have no principles, if you have no shame, then it doesn't matter. You're collecting that check and you're good.
Yeah.
What was the thing he said on Rogan? Like what he thought, the post office, something with the post office.
He said that we should get rid of the post office because they don't do anything right. And then Joe Rogan was like, the post office is awesome, right? And then immediately he's like, well, I get my baby chicks delivered to me
by the USPS.
Yeah. And then Rogan's like, yeah, that's
the
literally
post
the
office.
only way you can do it, right? That's the only legal. And by the way, the post office, they didn't get into this at all, but the post office is the only delivery service that delivers to rural parts of the country.
Because it's not profitable for the actual private companies to do it, so you need the post office to fill in that gap.
They don't do anything right. That's my idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could bust them up in a million different ways, continue to do that about that particular clip, but I do want to point out one more hypocrisy before we get to the next one. He's like, if there's one thing I've learned in California, the problem is that it doesn't have enough conservatives and libertarians. Wait, I thought you were posing as some form of a liberal, because I remember the last time you were on Tucker Carlson, you said that you would talk to your friends on the left and convince them that Tucker was right. So wait, are you on the left, or is the problem that there's not enough conservatives in California? So when you're humiliating yourself on national television, try to be a little consistent about it.
That's a great point, and I'm also just that. I'm sorry, but whenever they bring the geographic argument up, like, hey, here's this place and this place has left-leaning people and I think it's bad. I don't want to have this conversation at all, but if we're gonna have this conversation, Mississippi and Alabama, highest poverty rate in the country, happens to be very right-wing. Drop the mic, we're done, next.
No, but here's the thing. While the vast majority of voters in California are left-wing, the reality is a lot of the California politicians are corrupt corporate hacks, period.
They block single payer. They block single payer.
And not only that, I mean, like, look, one of the things that's really contributing to poverty is the corruption between our local politicians and the real estate developers, right? So like, anyway.
I'm trying desperately not to say policy points, but all right, two more.
Okay.
As quickly as I can. LA, the reason that we have out of control homelessness, we spend a quarter of the resources that New York City does. So it's not that New York City doesn't have homelessness problem as well, because they also have completely unaffordable housing. But LA's is far worse. Why? Because we spend less money, not because we spend more money. It's deeply misleading to say that. Oh, they still have gun violence. Oh, Chicago, hey, it's the black firefighters and the black people in Chicago that are all the problems. No, the reality is, if you look at the numbers, the red states have far more gun violence per capita than the blue states that have much tighter gun regulations. So they are factually incorrect, as always.
So let's hear the next non-point that Rubin wants to make.
I travel the country often and people will say to me, Dave, you got to stop the people from California moving here to Utah or moving here to Denver or moving here to Texas, because then they bring the bad policies of California elsewhere.
Build a wall. But walls are not just for our exterior borders, but that's just something to think about. Dave, great to see you.
Well, can I at least get on your side of the wall?
Yeah, join us here.
No. I gotta say it.
No.
Tucker's in New York. Dave Rubin's in California. What the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm sorry, he's in DC. Tucker's in DC. Okay.
And what happens?
They're totally blue areas. They're in the bluest areas in the country.
They're so full of.
Why don't you go
do the show out of Idaho.
Wait.
I'm dying because he mentioned Utah, right? Utah is one of the states that provided free housing for the homeless.
Yes, that's right.
And also, by the way, what happened to the whole like now? Hey, us here on the right, what we know how to do is agree to disagree, and those people on the left don't know how to do that. And so now's the part where I'm going to say we should build a wall and keep only the people we ideologically agree with inside the wall and kick everybody else out. What happened to agree to disagree?
Yeah.
What happened to I'm tolerant?
Yeah. So, by the way, why doesn't Dave live in some of those red states? Because they hate gay people, and he lives in LA because we have no problem with gay people. And so he likes the comfort of being in a blue area, but he likes to collect that paycheck from to sell us out and to sell his own kind out and to sell everyone out. And that's who he is. That's the kind of despicable guy that he is. Hey, Dave, why don't you off and live in Idaho? See how that turns out for you.
Mississippi, Alabama.
Why don't you go live in Kentucky?
Please.
Oh, right. Oh, they won't even give you a marriage license. Oh, well, I guess, oh, well, there goes that. I thought it was great. Oh, take me on your side of the wall, Tucker. That'll be great. Then they'll hate me forever. Oops. Yeah. F off with your bullshit hypocrisy. The reason you live in LA is because LA is awesome, and other hateful parts of this country that you advocate for a paycheck hate your guts. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.